5:17 local time. The radar picture shifts. 3 high-speed contacts rise from wave-top altitude on bearing 071. Tight spacing, coordinated separation, speed just under Mach 1. Inside the Combat Information Center, nobody speaks louder than necessary. Incoming threats. The $30 million U.S. Navy warship keeps cutting through the Cam Gulf water, its gray hull drawing a narrow wake behind it. Half a minute earlier, it was a routine transit. Engines balanced, navigation steady, watch rotations normal. Now every console is alive. The first signature confirms a launch point along the Iranian coastline. A brief infrared bloom, a low-altitude profile built to ride the curve of the sea and stay below radar until the latest possible moment. General quarters sounds. Steel doors seal across compartments. Sailors move quickly but without panic. Training takes over. Headsets click into place. Displays brighten. On the bridge, the captain steps forward a fraction. No speech, no theatrics. Set condition 3. Track and engage. Time to impact, 92 seconds. The 3 inbound tracks split into a shallow spread. One climbs slightly, likely acting as radar bait. The other 2 stay low, slicing just above the waterline. A classic saturation move, forcing the defense to divide attention. The warship's air search radar tightens its sweep. Fire control radar sharpens the tracking. Solutions refresh every second. 11 nautical miles to the east, an escorting destroyer acknowledges the request for support. Its Aegis system joins the picture, calculating intercept geometry at range. SM-2 solution ready. At 54 seconds to impact, the outer defensive layer activates. A vertical launch cell flashes white. An interceptor surges skyward, crossing Mach 3 in seconds. Its guidance radar locks onto the higher of the Iranian weapons first. At 38 seconds, the 2 meet in a violent bloom far above the water. Debris scatters harmlessly into open sea. Splash 1, no celebration, 2 remain. A second interceptor leaves the launcher almost immediately. This target is lower, harder to hold cleanly against sea clutter. 30 seconds. The incoming weapon makes a slight jink, just enough to complicate the angle. The interceptor adjusts, but the geometry breaks down. 25 seconds. Miss. 1 hostile weapon survives the outer layer. Inside CIC, posture changes, but the calm does not. Close-range defense becomes primary. The rolling airframe launcher rotates. Compact, fast, lethal. Its sensors grab the incoming track at close range. Automatic, precise. Range, 4.2 nautical miles. The warship holds course. A hard, evasive turn too early would interfere with its own intercept solution. Discipline matters more than instinct. 3.8 miles. The captain finally gives the order. Right standard rudder, 12 degrees. The hull leans smoothly to starboard. The wake widens. The incoming weapon's terminal geometry shifts just enough to complicate its final solution. 3.1 miles. The close-in weapon system spins up. A rising mechanical whine builds across the forward deck. The gun still waits. It is the last line, not the first. 2.4 miles. The short-range system locks solid. Through forward optics, the threat is now visible against the horizon. A thin spear of smoke racing towards steel. 1.9 miles. Engage. A close-range defensive missile kicks free in a burst of flame, arcing low and fast as it homes in. 1.3 miles. Bridge windows tremble from acceleration, pressure, and sea air. Sailors on deck brace behind hardened railings. 1.1 nautical miles. The sky flashes. The intercept happens less than 600 yards off the port bow. A concussive Udar-like thump rolls across the hull. Spray erupts upward as fragments hammer the water into a violent sheet. The shockwave passes. Silence returns for a heartbeat. Smoke drifts over the surface where the incoming threat should have been. Splash 2. The warship steadies back onto its original heading. Engines never come off power. Systems remain online. No impact alarms, but CIC is not finished. Operators sweep the horizon again, eyes searching for secondary signatures. In this region, 3 threats rarely travel alone, and the radar picture is still changing. 5:18 local time. The smoke from the last intercept is still drifting when the display shifts again. New track, high altitude, bearing 084. 10 seconds earlier, it was not there. This one is not skimming the surface. It is climbing. Infrared bloom confirms a delayed launch from deeper inland. Different profile, different purpose, a ballistic trajectory. Inside CIC, the mood tightens. Sea-skimming cruise threats are one problem. A descending ballistic threat is another entirely. Faster, steeper, less forgiving. The escorting destroyer 11 nautical miles east shifts immediately, Aegis taking primary. Data links merge the picture. The warship's radar combines with the destroyer's spy array, creating a shared engagement envelope. The calculations run in silence. Time to predicted descent, 71 seconds. The ballistic object climbs briefly, then arcs downward. Terminal phase will come fast. Recommend SM-6. Approved. A launch cell aboard the destroyer flares white against the horizon. The SM-6 leaves hard, driving skyward with controlled violence. Its path is steeper than the earlier interceptors, more aggressive, built for altitude and speed. Aboard the $30 million warship, sailors feel the shift instantly. Nobody wastes a word. Headsets carry only essentials. Altitude 22,000. Descending. The object accelerates as gravity takes hold. 48 seconds. The SM-6 corrects mid-flight, guided by a composite track from both ships. 34 seconds. The descending threat begins a slight drift. Possible maneuvering re-entry vehicle. Possible instability. Hard to say. 28 seconds. The intercept window narrows. From the bridge wing, a watch officer tracks the thin white streak high above the morning sky. 17 seconds. The sky fractures. The intercept happens far higher than the earlier kills. A bright, clean detonation blooms against the blue. Fragments scatter, shedding energy long before they can threaten the surface. Splash 3. The pressure wave arrives seconds later, rolling across the deck like distant thunder. No impact alarms, no structural warnings. Still, CIC does not relax. Operators confirm the debris pattern and search for secondary objects. A ballistic payload can fragment by design. Multiple warheads are rare here, but assumptions get people hurt. 10 seconds pass. Nothing else descends. The immediate air threat is gone. For 11 seconds, the sea seems to find its rhythm again. Then surface radar lights up. Fast mover, surface contact, bearing 090, range 6 nautical miles, speed increasing, not airborne. On the water, long-range optics swing east. Heat shimmer distorts the image at first, then the shape resolves. Small hull, low profile, no visible flag. Possible fast attack craft. Speed 35 knots and climbing. A second appears behind it, then a third. They are coming from beyond the original launch vector, not retreating from it. This is not coincidence. The warship's posture shifts again. Surface action stations. The 5-inch gun moves slightly. Low elevation, deliberate, visible. Sea state remains calm. That favors speed for small craft, but it also favors precise fire control. Range 5.2 nautical miles. The lead fast boat adjusts toward the warship's starboard quarter. The spacing tightens into a loose V formation. Swarm tactic. They held back during the missile exchange. Now they move in. Inside CIC, weapons officers review the rules of engagement. Hostile intent not yet confirmed. Continue tracking. A bridge-to-bridge hail goes out immediately. Unidentified surface vessel, this is a United States Navy warship operating in international waters. You are approaching at unsafe speed. Alter course immediately. No reply. Range 4.8 nautical miles. The escorting destroyer maintains offset position. Radar hot. Guns cold. The fast craft accelerate again. Optics estimate 38 knots. Deck movement is visible. Personnel topside. Something mounted near the bow of the lead craft. Possibly a launcher, possibly deck equipment. Recommend aviation presence. Approved. On the flight deck, rotors begin to turn. The MH-60R Seahawk spins up fast. Sensor pod live before it even leaves the steel. Range 3.9 nautical miles. The helicopter lifts clean and banks low toward the approaching boats. The earlier attacks failed. Now comes something closer. At sea, close range is where mistakes become permanent. 5:21 local time. The Seahawk clears the deck and drops low over open water, rotors biting into the morning air. Its sensor turret is already live, feeding infrared and optical imagery back into CIC. Below, the 3 fast attack craft tighten their formation. Range 3.2 nautical miles. Speed 40 knots. They are no longer probing, they are committing. Inside CIC, surface tracking sharpens. Lead craft altering course, intercept vector confirmed. The U.S. warship maintains steady speed. No sudden burst of acceleration. No evasive zigzag. Discipline over impulse. The bridge-to-bridge warning repeats in English and Farsi. Unidentified Iranian surface vessels. You are approaching a United States Navy ship at unsafe speed. Alter course immediately. Still no response. The Seahawk levels at 200 feet above the waterline, offset from the lead boat's bow. Through stabilized optics, the crew can now see faces, helmets, headsets, movement near a forward-mounted tube, possible rocket rail. The crew chief activates the laser designator. A thin green beam pulses across the windshield of the lead craft. Non-lethal, impossible to miss. Iranian vessels, you are being illuminated. Change course now. The lead boat does not brake. Instead, it edges left, widening its angle as if preparing to flank. The second boat accelerates. Range 2.4 nautical miles. Inside CIC, the tension narrows. Possible weapons preparation. Heat bloom near bow. On the warship's forward deck, the 5-inch gun elevates 2 degrees. Not enough to fire. Enough to be seen. The Seahawk banks closer. Range 2.0 nautical miles. The fast boats are now inside the distance where miscalculation becomes impact. The rules remain unchanged. Show capability. Fire only if hostile act or clear hostile intent is confirmed. The lead Iranian craft slams through a wave. Spray climbs over the bow. The crewman near the front shifts position. The Seahawk crew sees the metallic tube pivot slightly. Possible 107mm rocket. Recommend warning shot. Approved. 5:23 local time. The 5-inch gun fires. The shot is deliberate and controlled. One round into the water, 100 yards across the bow of the lead boat. The splash rises in a towering column. Seconds later, the concussion reaches the small craft. The formation breaks. The second boat cuts throttle first, falling from 40 knots to 28. The third veers wide. The lead craft hesitates, then slows. Range 1.7 nautical miles. The Seahawk holds orbit, now slightly behind the formation. Its optics zoom tight. Crewmen on the lead boat step back from the forward tube. One briefly raises both hands, palms outward, a universal signal. The U.S. warship does not advance. No pursuit, no follow-up fire. The gun returns to neutral elevation. Surface-to-air systems remain armed but idle. The Iranian boats begin a gradual turn east. Speed drops to 20 knots. Distance opens. Inside CIC, tracking continues without interruption. Contact Alpha reducing speed. Contact Bravo altering course 095. Contact Charlie falling astern. The Seahawk lowers briefly, hovering offset to ensure compliance. Its presence alone fills the air with pressure. No rockets launch. No gunfire is exchanged. At 1.5 nautical miles, the Iranian boats fully break formation and head back toward open water. By 5:26, range widens past 3 nautical miles. The Seahawk circles once, wide and quiet, then climbs. Back aboard the $30 million warship, the posture shifts from engagement to overwatch. No cheering, no dramatic release, just measured breathing and system checks. The incoming missile wave failed. The swarm-style surface approach failed. And none of it was random. It was layered. First saturation from shore, then ballistic escalation, then close-range intimidation. 3 phases, 3 failures. The warship resumes steady course. Engines never slowed. Flight deck crews prepare to recover the Seahawk. Inside CIC, analysts replay the timeline. From first intercept to fast boat disengagement, 8 minutes. 8 minutes of layered response. Iran expected reaction. What it received was sequencing, and sequencing is harder to break than steel. 5:41 local time. The Seahawk settles back onto the flight deck, rotors slowing while sensors continue recording. Its feed still streams into the Combat Information Center. Every laser illumination, every turn made by the Iranian boats, all archived and time-stamped. But the cycle is not over. Friendly air contacts inbound. 2 FA-18 Super Hornets appear from the southwest and descend into a tight combat air patrol above the warship. They were not launched in panic. They were already airborne as part of regional coverage. Now they shift posture. Altitude 15,000 feet, speed controlled, weapons live. The difference is subtle but decisive. Missile defense handles the threat in front of you. Air superiority discourages the next one before it starts. Inside CIC, the radar picture stabilizes. No new missile signatures, no additional surface contacts pressing in. But the electronic warfare consoles begin picking up emissions from shore. Narrow beam radar spike, likely coastal battery tracking. The SLQ-32 suite records frequency, pulse width, sweep rate. Everything is captured. They are watching. The U.S. warship does not turn toward shore. It does not withdraw either. It stays on its original transit line. The escorting destroyer shifts formation slightly, offsetting 10 degrees east to widen the defensive geometry. Subtle, tactical. Overhead, the Super Hornets widen their orbit. One dips lower, visible against the morning sky. Afterburners cold, but unmistakable. A reminder that deterrence does not need to shout. It just needs layers. On the bridge, the captain studies the updated plot. Cruise threat, ballistic follow-up, fast attack craft. 3 domains tested in less than 15 minutes. Maintain course. Increase readiness level. Not escalation, not retaliation. Presence. At 5:47, an E-2D Hawkeye farther out adjusts its orbit, extending radar coverage deeper inland. The picture broadens. Launch sites that were quiet minutes earlier are now under continuous observation. Satellite tasking requests move through secure channels. ISR drones are redirected. If Iran wanted to test timing, that timing is now being measured. The warship continues forward at steady knots, hull intact, systems green. But the strategic posture has changed. This is no longer a routine patrol. It is a monitored transit under heightened readiness. Electronic emissions from shore begin to fade. Radar spikes flatten. Either the system's powered down or the demonstration is over. Inside CIC, weapons officers replay the intercept timeline from first radar bloom to final fast boat withdrawal. 14 minutes and 32 seconds. 14 minutes that changed the tone of the entire morning. No counter-strike launches. No weapons fired toward land. Instead, the corridor is now covered by air patrol. Escort geometry is tighter. Data has been harvested. The Super Hornets descend briefly to 8,000 feet, visible for miles. They do not dive aggressively, they simply remain there. That alone changes the calculation. At 5:53, surface radar confirms that the 3 Iranian fast craft have reduced speed below 15 knots and are opening distance toward territorial waters. No pursuit is ordered. The U.S. warship will not chase. It will not escalate beyond necessity, but it will not forget. Electronic warfare logs now hold Iranian coastal radar signatures under stress conditions, reaction times, surface maneuver patterns, and high-resolution imagery of possible rocket tube configurations. Every action added data, and data shapes the next encounter. On deck, sailors return to controlled routines. Damage control teams verify no fragment impact. Flight deck crews secure tie-downs. Normal returns, but it is a sharper kind of normal. At 6:02, CIC confirms the airspace is clear within 50 nautical miles. No further ballistic arcs. The captain gives the order. Resume standard transit. Maintain cap overhead. The warship keeps moving as if nothing happened. But something did. Iran tested layered response, low-altitude cruise attack, ballistic follow-up, swarm-style surface pressure. The U.S. Navy answered with layered discipline. Intercept, presence, restraint. And restraint, when backed by force, carries weight. Because the most important shift was not in steel or smoke. It was in posture. Iran launched expecting damage. Instead, it revealed capability. And once capability is measured, everything changes. 6:10 local time. The sea looks unchanged. Calm water, light wind, no smoke left on the horizon. But the operational picture is different now. The $30 million U.S. warship continues its transit, hull untouched, systems green across every console. From a distance, it looks routine, just another gray silhouette crossing open water. Inside, nothing is routine. The Combat Information Center replays every second. Radar bloom at 5:17, cruise intercepts, ballistic arc, fast boat approach vectors, laser illumination, warning shot impact coordinates. 14 minutes of escalation, logged frame by frame. No speculation, just evidence. The escorting destroyer shifts 5 nautical miles farther east, widening the protective envelope. The formation now reflects heightened readiness, not peacetime spacing. Overhead, the FA-18S remain in CAP pattern. Not aggressive, not diving. Simply there. Presence is strategy. At 6:18, satellite tasking confirms continuous monitoring of the Iranian coastal launch zones used during the strike. Thermal scans reveal residual heat where mobile platforms likely repositioned. They moved quickly, but not quickly enough to disappear. ISR drones settle into high-altitude holding patterns, invisible from the surface, watching. No retaliatory strike is launched. No cruise weapons leave vertical cells toward shore. That choice is deliberate. Escalation is a ladder. The United States does not climb it without purpose. Instead, the response shifts in quieter ways. Subsurface assets reposition closer to likely missile corridors. Maritime patrol aircraft adjust their orbits. Data from the ballistic intercept moves to fleet analysts in real time. Iran tested 3 domains in sequence. Sea skimming cruise threats to saturate. Ballistic descent to raise the stakes. Fast attack craft to force a close-range mistake. Each layer was neutralized. No U.S. casualties. No structural damage. The warship did not sprint away. It did not maneuver wildly. It did not overreact. It absorbed the test. And by doing that, it changed the balance. At 6:32, Iranian coastal radar emissions spike briefly, then flatten again. Fire control locks do not return. No additional launches are detected. The fast attack craft have fully withdrawn inside territorial waters. The message cycle is complete. On the bridge, the captain studies the open water ahead. Transit continues on the same plotted course as before the first launch. No deviation. That is intentional. A course change would signal disruption. Holding course signals control. Inside CIC, one final report moves up the chain. All hostile contacts neutralized, vessel secure, mission ongoing, not dramatic, not emotional, just precise. Across the region, commercial traffic resumes its steady movement through nearby shipping lanes. Civilian captains monitor open frequencies but hear no distress calls, no warnings about debris fields, no burning hulls on the horizon. The absence of damage becomes the story. By 700 hours, flight operations normalize. One Super Hornet rotates out for refueling. Another replaces it seamlessly. The air umbrella remains because deterrence is not a moment. It is continuity. The $30 million warship was never built to dominate alone. It exists inside a system. Destroyers, aircraft, satellites, submarines, analysts. Iran aimed at a single hull. It encountered a network. That network did not answer emotionally, it answered mechanically, sequentially, predictably, and in this environment, predictability is power. The real shift was not just the destruction of incoming threats, it was the confirmation that layered defense worked under live conditions. Iran launched expecting impact. Seconds later, the equation changed, not because steel was hit, but because it was not. The warship remains underway, engines steady, sensors scanning, weapons armed but silent. And somewhere along the coastline, planners now understand that the margin for error is thinner than they calculated. In modern naval conflict, the loudest move is not the first launch. It is surviving the strike without flinching. Transit continues, mission ongoing.